Hey, you're going to be okay. I'm Elizabeth May, and my functional health practice helps people heal when they've exhausted traditional options. When no one else can figure your health challenges out, my team helps you resolve symptoms and restores your health. You're listening to my podcast where we'll hear stories of healing chronic illness from a root cause approach. Today, I'm joined by my dear friend and colleague, Dr. English Goldsborough. She is a naturopathic doctor, board certified holistic nutritionist, and somatic trauma practitioner, and a lot more, but we'll get into that. So, we're talking today about something she sees in practice all the time: the way emotions and unprocessed experiences that we go through can literally block fertility. So, we're going to talk about how the body, when it feels safe again, can open back up to life. But welcome, English. I'm glad for you to be here.
Hi, I'm glad to be here as well.
Yeah, I feel like we owe them a little bit of backstory because we met in nutrition school in Florida, your favorite place. So we discovered that we lived like 25 minutes apart. So we both practice out of Louisville. But I want to have you just tell me more about your practice, what you guys do, who it is, what all that
Yeah.
entails.
Yeah. Okay, so mainly fertility, which would encompass preconception, during pregnancy, postpartum, that kind of thing, right? Like the whole span of that. And I will say that I went into that thinking I was going to be a hormone specialist. So I thought, oh, I'll just do all things hormone. And you and I both know that is not how it works.
Uh,
So through each little thing, right, we learn, oh, the gut has a lot to do with fertility, or the nervous
Mhm.
system has a lot to do with fertility, or there's pathogens like mold and Lyme, those kind of things. So it expanded into all things, right? But as it relates to fertility. So um, very comprehensive, I guess we could say.
Yeah, and babies being the total goal, but I know that you work with not just women and their partners, but you work with kids, you've worked with all ages, all sorts of things. And as your friend, I get to watch a lot of behind the scenes, and we refer clients to you because while we have made babies in this practice, you are the queen of it, and I would much rather have somebody work with you and your skills than me and mine. But I do think it's super important to talk about. You guys have brought nearly 100 babies into the world,
Yeah,
partnering with their families. And I just think that's so cool because it's
thank
100
you.
babies, but then that's 200 people who wanted to have a baby who now get to have this whole life experience. And I think it's so fun. So a lot of the
Yeah.
work we do is really similar. We're usually working in our practice with like chronic complex infections with children primarily and their families. Your goal is fertility, but really there's so much crossover, like you said, with infections and immune health and safety and connection in the body and the body functioning wholly. So I kind of want to get into just like we see emotions blocking healing progress. We see emotions triggering immune crises or breakdowns or autoimmune disease. How do you see emotion showing up as like a physical block in the fertility process?
Yeah. Okay. Would it be helpful if we kind of start with, and maybe you talk about this a lot, so maybe your audience completely knows, but would it be helpful to start with like polyvagal theory and kind of just break down like the
Yeah, break
three
down the
the three
basics.
states, right? Okay, so and I think, at least what I went into it with a understanding of parasympathetic versus sympathetic, right? We think that there's two,
Mm-hmm.
but there's really that
Mm-hmm.
parasympathetic that's dual. One state really, really great for conception, one state not so great for conception, right? So, very quickly, when we think about sympathetic, we all know that that's that fight or flight, that hypervigilance, the like hyper arousal, right? So, fast. And then that parasympathetic will split into two, where that ventral is going to be that safety, the calm, the connection, that state that we really, all of us, regardless of whether we want to conceive or not, really would strive to be in most of the time. We can't be in there all of the
Mm-hmm.
time, but most of the time, right? And then the other side of that parasympathetic is going to be that dorsal. So just the shutdown, the freeze. And I think most people are probably, you know, familiar with that side of things. But what I think is really interesting and maybe not so favorable about when we are in the conception, trying to conceive period, is that we cycle through those states every time
Mm-hmm.
we're cycling, right? So as somebody is headed towards ovulation, they might be really hopeful. So maybe they are more in that like ventral state. They just feel this
Mhm.
innate ability to connect with their partner. They can envision the future with a child. Things feel really good. And then
Mhm.
we head, towards ovulation. Ovulation happens. That's over. Your one chance that month is now over. And then we head
Mhm.
into that sympathetic state where we are hyper aroused. We are hyper vigilant. We are always looking for signs, right? Oh,
Mhm.
my fingernails are peeling. Maybe I'm pregnant. We should Google that. And it's like, is that really
Mhm.
related?
We should
Probably not,
Google
right?
that.
But you're like, oh, I have one pimple. Maybe it's happening.
Mhm.
So we're
Yeah.
hyper vigilant, always on alert, hyper focused on our body. So we spend all that time, that 2 week wait, in sympathetic, and then maybe we're not pregnant, our period arrives, and we go more into that dorsal, that shutdown. So then we're like, ah, F it. Nothing really matters anymore. Why try? And we want to hide from the
Pause.
world. And we don't want to connect with a partner. We
Mhm.
don't want to connect with our friends. Um, and then, maybe hope comes back around again. But I think as the months go on, staying in that ventral, calm, connected place shrinks more and more and more, and we get less hope.
Yeah.
And then we just get stuck between being really hyper vigilant for things and shut down. And we just go back and forth. And when we're in that state, right, our nervous system either tells the body that we are running from a saber-toothed tiger all the time, it's not safe to have a baby, there's danger around, or when we're stuck in that shutdown state, uh, we're conserving energy, our metabolism goes down, we're not using nutrients the same way, and that's not a state to bring a baby into either because we are so slowed down. So I think that is maybe where it's just different when somebody's going through fertility to where they get stuck in those states quite often. It's just a little unfortunate.
Mhm.
Did that
Yeah, the
answer your
cycling
question?
piece is really important. Yeah, the cycling piece is really important. I think connecting to, let's be like super literal. How does the stress, fear, trauma cycle impact physical things like the
Mm.
hormone signaling? How does it affect
Oh yeah.
ovulation? Does it affect implantation or pregnancy,
Oh yeah.
staying pregnant? Like, what does that look
Yeah.
like?
Yeah, that's a good question. So yeah, I mean all the things, right? So if the body feels that it is not safe to have a
Hmm.
baby, well then it can prevent you from ovulating at all. And that
Hmm.
we can't get pregnant if we're not ovulating, right? That is one of
Hmm.
the main things of the show. So that stress in and of itself, and we can see, in those who are really stressed, maybe they still are ovulating, but it's just delayed. And then if ovulation is happening, we know that stress chemistry can cause a lot of inflammation in the body, a lot of autoimmunity in the body. It can just trigger the immune system to go after invaders and pathogens. But what if the embryo is considered an invader because it's half not us?
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
it stinks, kind of when you tell a client that, like, oh, your body is mistaking an embryo for something to attack. That really stinks. But
Hmm.
that is, same thing as with autoimmunity when it attacks yourself. It's doing that
Yeah.
to, unfortunately, a baby.
Yeah, we talk a lot about immune health, as you can guess, because
Just
that is
imagine.
most of our clients are dealing with
Yeah.
immune struggles.
Yeah.
And it is really interesting to break down and understand that the immune system, like an invader, is not just a pathogen. It can also be um, there when we're working on conceiving, and it's really fascinating. So, do you feel like we see the cycling emotional patterns? Do you feel like you see other emotional patterns in clients who are struggling to conceive?
Mhm. Likely. And they're probably going to be so different with everybody, right? Yeah. It's interesting because sometimes you get the people who very go-getter, right? They want to do all the things. So they seem
Mm.
like everything is going right because, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. They are like the type A people that maybe they're people pleasers. They want to do everything. So you see that a
Mm.
lot as far as like, oh, give me more supplements, give me more restrictions. That's going to help. Maybe that's not necessarily going to help that person. They might need the opposite. And then sometimes you see those people who are maybe blissfully in some shutdown state and they think nothing's going to matter. So they don't necessarily
Mm.
follow any recommendations because they think it doesn't apply to them necessarily.
Mm.
Um,
Hmm.
maybe a blissful state to be in, but not necessarily the
Yeah,
most helpful.
not productive. Yeah.
No, not the most
Yeah.
helpful.
I think
Uh,
it's kind of clear that like the body can't basically create when it's stuck in survival. And survival can be lots of different directions. Like we talk so much about the ventral vagal and care because social engagement with a child who's struggling physically is so important to bring them into a place where their body can heal. And when they're little, they don't talk. It's not like we can sit down and be like, let's do some breathing and help you become less stressed. So we focus a lot on building in and
yeah.
bringing in more good, like bringing in more joy, bringing in more mindfulness for the kiddo or groundedness. I kind of want to talk about like, there are these like day-to-day states, but like where does trauma fall into this whole discussion? And are there bigger things than just the
Yeah.
cycling through freeze, social engagement, fight, flight, like going
Yeah.
through
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
stages every month and impact things? And what is that? What do you see that showing up
Yeah,
as?
yeah, yeah. Okay, so I think it's probably compounding, right? We definitely have those individuals who, even in the womb, probably were subjected to trauma. And we know
Yep.
that mom's nervous system is what builds baby's nervous system, what for like the first 3 years of life. So that begins in utero. That cortisol rise and fall is what trains our baby's nervous system to know that danger comes, danger goes, things are fine. So
Mm-hmm.
I do think there is that patterning that starts in utero that most of us probably aren't even aware of. We don't have explicit memories of those states. We have implicit. The body knows, right? Everybody knows the body
Mm-hmm.
keeps the score. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that probably starts some things. There's things in childhood, adulthood. Um, Truly believe that just the body is very, very intelligent. So um, if something happened in the past, but the nervous system hasn't gotten the message that now things are safe again, I think we bring that
Mm-hmm.
with us into our current state. So let's say we were in a really bad marriage in the past, right? If we haven't allowed the nervous system to process that and realize that now we are in a safe space, then perhaps the body still thinks we're there. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that has a big effect. Um, I think just feeling like hopeless anyways has a big effect, right?
Yeah.
It's that state of I'm not in control of this. So a lot of people going through IVF, that compounds to it because you feel like you don't have a choice. You either stay in it until you run out of money or you get a baby, but you have a choice. You're just
Mm-hmm.
not really told you have a choice, and you don't feel like you have a
Yeah.
choice. That in and of itself
Mm-hmm.
then compounds to the trauma, right? So whether we call it trauma, we call it stress, doesn't matter to me. Likely the same
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we could get super
I
woo
think all
woo,
those
right? But
go. I love a super woo woo moment. But I think all those
yeah,
things live in the body in different ways. And for everybody, like things manifest differently, right? Like having left a destructive marriage, I know that when my body feels unsafe, then I literally can't think and I don't breathe very well. And I
mm-hmm.
really like am not a good sleeper. And all those
Mm-hmm.
things like physical chronic tension, all of those things like add up, stack up. And if we're stuck in states like that, or we've seen clients who had like experience things around the safety of themselves as a child or the
Mm-hmm.
safety of a sibling as a child. And I would think that those things play into it too. Like, can I keep a child safe? My belief system around what kind of a mom am I able to be? Those sort of things, I think, also matter. We see that at least with children who are already born and parents who are like, I'm not equipped to deal with this thing that we're dealing with.
Yeah,
That part, I think, impacts, the total
yeah,
body
yeah,
health and is really
yeah.
interesting. The unprocessed things we
Yeah,
keep
I mean,
showing
I
up as
think I
possible.
think it had a huge effect on just us conceiving, right? Like we did all the things. We did
Mm,
the GI maps and the MRTs, and I
mhm,
prepped my body for 3 years with nutrients, so I thought it would be so quick and easy. And yes, okay,
mm,
it's not going to happen the first month. That's just not logically and not how it works, right? But for me,
mhm,
there was a lot of fear based around like, what kind of mom will I be? I'm going to fail this child. I'm not equipped for this
mm,
because I was never the person that dreamed of being a mom. I wasn't against it,
mm,
but some people from the time that they're young, they can't wait to get married, have kids. That wasn't me. I didn't envision that. Could we take that back to childhood and my attachment? Absolutely, right? Like that. So I think my
mhm,
attachment style growing up, which you and I have chatted at length, similar things, right?
mhm,
As far as childhood goes, and not
mhm,
having that loving feeling, how am I going to give that to the next generation? And I don't want to perpetuate that generational not great attachment style. So that I really think was preventing us from getting pregnant for a good amount of time.
Mm. I appreciate you sharing that. And I think too, we talk a lot because we have similar personalities. We're go-getters and we're gonna push through all the things, but also like, yeah, it could be like a big trauma something, but it can also be kind of like daily disposition. Like my proclivity is to like fight, push through, keep going, not honor when my body needs rest or when it needs more time in ventral vagal. I'm not like the funnest person ever. Like joy and being like so
Yeah.
open and fun. Like that's not
Yeah.
probably my MO. It's the working,
Yeah.
get shit done. Even that like ongoing kind of trauma state, if you will, sometimes personality, I feel like plays into physical health
Oh, yeah.
too, whether it's
Yep.
conception or literally day-to-day health.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Look, we would go through ovulation and we would have we would have our try and then I would wake up. I'm just gonna admit this. I would wake up in the middle of the night, like during ovulation and think, oh crap, I don't think I'm ready for this. Too late, right? And like so then I would like have this like, oh no, we shouldn't have done this. I'm not ready. And then of course I was
Mm,
devastated each month when it wasn't happening. So I knew
yeah,
I wanted it to happen. It's just the fear was in the way. It's which do any of us really know what we're doing? Probably not. But
no. I also think it's so important that this is talked about because how often do you hear somebody talk about like literally the day to day of working through
yeah,
conception and like all of the feelings and all of the thoughts and all of the anxieties about future momming, pregnancy, birth. Like there's so much to be emotional about, not in a negative way, but like literally elicits a lot of emotions in the whole process.
yeah,
Forget if you've already been trying to get pregnant for a long time and you're in the like emotional shackles of infertility. There's had to be so
yeah.
many layers, and we don't even take time sometimes to literally think about like, okay, day by day through the month, what is my nervous system receiving from my brain as I'm emoting and working through all this stuff? Like
Mhm.
it feels like huge, but also I think it's cool because there are lots of things that we can do. And it
Yeah.
kind of maybe for a minute feels like overwhelming. I tend to feel overwhelmed by these things, but I think it's really helpful when we start to understand how does the brain and the body work together. And I kind of want to move into
Yeah.
like somatic therapy chats and like
Yeah.
what
Yeah. Yeah.
is somatic therapy? What is it? Let's just start there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Really just an awareness of your body, right? And what is going on internally, whatever it is, tuning back into ourself. Uh,
Mm.
from a simple
Hmm.
standpoint, right? Just really paying attention to where we're feeling things, how are things affecting us. Because it's
Mhm.
so split, right? Like it happens so fast that we respond to things. And a lot of times we're not even aware, right? So maybe you're aware because you've done the work, right? But maybe a lot of people aren't even aware that they're really not breathing. They start to hold their breath
Mm.
when they're going through things, and they're not aware that they're holding that. So it's just becoming
Mhm.
aware of our own tendencies and tying those back into what is maybe triggering those things. Triggers probably
Mhm.
not a word a lot of people like to use.
Totally.
We could use
Yeah.
something different, but like what is stimulating that? How can we repattern that kind of thing? So an awareness really is what we're looking at.
Quick break. If you've been curious about homeopathy, this is your sign to try it. At Hey Hey Homeopathics, we've created liquid remedies for everything from sleep and skin to digestion and beyond. Safe, gentle, and designed for real life. And if you're a practitioner, our preferred professionals line opens the door to powerful tools like no-sodes, miasms, detoxers, and more. Anyone can shop, but professionals can apply for exclusive access. Visit heyheyhomeopathics.com and start your path to natural healing today. So somatic therapy kind of comes in where like I think about clients who come and they're like, I have this whole lots of experiences in my life that have been really difficult and I just have a hard time relaxing and I'm just told to like relax, do some breath work, chill. But like that's not really possible without the nervous system really learning the patterning of safety and the patterning of
Yeah.
relaxing. And that's kind of where my understanding is that somatic therapies come in. They push
Yeah.
us towards better patterning of connecting our mind to our body. So some people, it's like literally just the awareness, like you said, of like when I feel stressed or whatever, I'm not breathing. I had no idea that I was doing that before now.
Yeah.
But like, what are some modalities or examples or things people may be familiar with that would fall in that like somatic category?
Okay. Oh, there's probably so many, right? So like
Yeah.
EMDR would be something that
Mm,
somebody is likely very, because I think that's, become pretty popular, right? To do
popular.
EMDR.
Yeah.
Somatic experiencing, so like the Peter Levine type things. Um, but even like
Explain what that
there's
is.
different types of yoga. And so what'd you say?
Yeah. I said explain what
Like
somatic experiencing is. I still feel like that's a high level just words.
I was gonna say I haven't gone through that training. I have watched many Peter Levine things,
Okay.
but I am not a somatic experiencing practitioner. Um, but he just the reprocessing of things, right? So he will have somebody kind of stay here with us, the co-regulation piece. So stay here with us, partially go back to somewhere, or find the place in your body that that is located and focus on it and intensify it, but then go somewhere else that feels safe.
Hmm.
Come back and intensify it, go somewhere else that feels safe. And as you do that, from what I understand, and not an expert here, it
Yeah.
releases, um, kind of what you're going through. So I've at least watched videos where he does this with like PTSD, like military
Hmm.
veterans,
Yes.
and it's incredible to watch him do those things. It's really cool.
But it's that reintegration of all of the like I've been through it, and the reintegration of all the sensory parts, right? So like what you think, what you feel, what actually happened, the visuals that existed for me from my experiences, it was always the visuals because I'm super visual. So something would
Sure.
pop back
Yeah.
in on a Tuesday in my brain and I'd be like, oh, right back there, but I couldn't get like unstuck from it. And so like
Yeah.
putting all those things back together, like you said, from a place of safety and then re-experiencing helps the body to integrate what the mind will conjure up and then what the physical body feels or responds
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
But yeah, EMDR, eye movement desensitization
Yeah.
reprocessing, I believe is
Yeah. Yeah.
so that's that left right eye movement. Um, internal family systems work, I think, is the same, right? Like it's in that category of, yeah, I'm
It
like
is.
therapy queen.
IFS is
Why am I not really
fascinating to me.
integrating the parts?
Yeah.
Yes.
It, I cannot wrap my head around it yet. Now I have not done training in it. I'm just, enough to be dangerous as far as like reading goes. Fascinating though, and it makes so
Yeah.
much sense. I
Hmm.
definitely think it's something that I would like to explore just for myself, not necessarily to provide for others, but to explore for myself.
Yeah.
Mainly just because I know when I get in those heightened senses, everything goes blank for me. Like I can't think, everything is black. I can't formulate words. And that in an IFS kind of thing is like your protectors, right? They're protecting you from the feelings
Hmm.
and the sensations that you aren't ready to process. But it's maddening when
Hmm.
you are trying to have a conversation with your husband, and you don't have anything to say back. So I think
Yeah.
that would be fascinating to go through, right? To see what pops
Yeah.
up there. Um, yeah,
I
yeah,
feel
yeah,
like as a
yeah,
construct, it's really wild because it does go. It's like that whole what sort of people. I don't want to say personalities because then it, but that is true. It's like what
yeah. Kind of.
personalities do you have inside of you who have created different roles, and how do we work to integrate them instead of them showing up and performing
Yeah,
their like super protector role where your brain then
yeah,
is like, "Meh." But it's the same thing. It's integrating the mind with the body because they go
yeah,
together. I talked a
yep.
lot in the
Oh, yeah,
intro that like Western medicine, we silo everything. You go to the
yeah,
therapist for that, the cardiologist for this, the dermatologist for
yeah,
that. And that's why our work works. And that's why people get
yeah,
better and stay better because the body is a whole being. So,
yeah,
one of the
yeah,
somatic tools that you use is safe and sound. And I really want to
yeah,
get into that. So, can you tell me about it?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm actually using Safe and Sound and Rest and Restore now, so I can
Okay.
kind of get into now they're similar but different ones a little bit easier. So Safe and Sound, developed by Stephen Porges, the grandfather of polyvagal theory. But I like it because it is just music therapy, if you will. It
Hmm.
is bottom up. So talk therapy is very like top down, right? You have to talk about the things, you have to process the things.
Okay.
Whereas a lot of somatics, and especially safe and sound, it is bottom up. So we're just listening to this filtered music. So the music is filtered in a way to take out the really high tones and the really low tones. Really low tones correspond to that shutdown state, and really high tones correlate to the sympathetic state. So think about an ambulance or a police siren. Those things
Hmm.
are very high tones. They're very alerting. So they take
Hmm.
out the high tones, they take out the low tones, And this actually corresponded with a study that showed that mothers, when they're talking to their infants, the ones that used those middle tones actually were better able to lower the distress in their infants, whereas those who were using
Mm.
high or low tones, their infants didn't soothe as easily. So that's kind of how that correlates to with what they're doing. Um, so we just get on Zoom together and we put on headphones and we listen very, very slowly to this filtered music that is designed to basically give your inner ear muscles a workout. And we're working
Mm.
out our inner ear muscles because they are connected to our vagus nerve, and that
Mm.
retunes the vagus nerve for that sense of safety, calm connection. Because so many things can dysregulate that, right? So if you're seeing kiddos with lots of ear infections, those ear infections can actually, because it's messing with the ear muscles, that's going to dysregulate the nervous system.
Mm.
Traumas are going to dysregulate the nervous system, things like that. So it can be so beneficial for so many people. Low tone in those with autism, it can be really beneficial for them as well. But
Mm.
it's so simple, and we just do little bits at a time, and they can listen on their own in between, and it just filters differently throughout a 5-hour process. It's honestly really, really cool. I really, really like it, and powerful too.
Can kids can kids do it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Children?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We can do it a little bit differently, like if you think about probably your autism kiddos that
Mm-hmm.
sensory wise probably don't want headphones being on their head. We can do
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
speakers that can do very short stints because maybe they're not going to be
Mm-hmm.
able to verbally tell us like that's agitating me or that's making me feel kind of funny. So that
Mm-hmm.
is where maybe the co-regulation comes into play, where a parent also comes into play as far as knowing their child really well, and they can see the signs. Okay, like that was 30 seconds. That's enough. We're going to hold off for a couple
Mm-hmm.
days. But yeah, I mean, I even have women do it in pregnancy, to be honest, just to help them regulate themselves and start
Mm-hmm.
to give their baby, some good patterning before they're even born.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. What's
Yeah.
Rest and
Yeah.
Restore? Tell me about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Rest and Restore they just came out with recently. So this is the RRP Rest and Restore. This honestly the clients can do it on their own. We just give them a little guidance, and then
Hmm.
this is what they would do right before bed. So if somebody has trouble falling asleep or staying asleep, this one, instead of filtered, high tones, low tones out, this one is set to entrainment. So entrainment is really just the internal systems aligning themselves with whatever the external stimuli is. So if we think about even kids, right? You put on music and your body just dances to the music. You just get the beat without thinking about what the beat is. That's entrainment.
Hmm.
So it's just beats per minute,
Hmm.
right? So we listen to this track on headphones while we're laying down. We definitely can't have any like
Hmm.
core tightening, anything like that, because that is not going to allow it to happen. But we listen to this track, and that puts you into an immobilized but safe state. So that's kind of where we're
Hmm.
getting both sides of that parasympathetic in, right? Like we're safe, but we're immobilized, and it just whisks
Hmm.
you off to sleep. It is
Huh.
so stinking cool. Yeah.
Huh. Huh.
Yeah.
So how often would somebody who you're working with like work through these like a session, or how often are they doing their safe and sound or rest and
Yeah, yeah,
restore?
yeah. A little bit different for everybody based on their level of tolerance, right? So we know some people, I've had some clients who could go right into 15 minutes, 30 minutes every day, and they just blaze on through it. Now we could kind of say like, okay, maybe their body wasn't ready to process things, so the fact that they could go through it so quickly, their body's just like, we're not gonna do anything. But some people
Mm-hmm.
really can go through it, right? Their body's ready for it. Others, we really start with that 30 seconds, right? And we will do that once a week and we will see what happens. But from an
Mm-hmm.
average standpoint, we're meeting every other week for 30 minutes just to go through some somatics, go through the SSP together, and then they can do it on their own. That's with SSP, RRP. It's kind of up to them, really. Some might do it every night. Some might only do it on the nights that they are having trouble falling asleep, or if they wake up and can't get back to sleep. That is, there's looser guidelines around that one to where they could use it when they
Mhm.
want. They just tell you not to use it in the middle of the day when you're going to have to use your brain afterwards. Like if you have a meeting, do not use it because you will be in this trance-like state and you will not be able to think.
That's funny. And I just reminds me of doing like EMDR when you do it's so much somatic stuff. Like if you do go through something, number one, it can be exhausting. Or it
Mm,
can straight put you to sleep where you're like done. Like your brain
mhm,
needs the rest. You
mhm.
need a break. So do you
Yep.
see people, I guess like process wise, let's stick with fertility. You're working them through these processes. When do you feel like a client is to a place where they're better enough to get back to conceiving, or
Yeah.
how do you guys discern together that like, okay, we're to a better place, Vegas and physical wise, where you're a little more safe feeling and we're reaching
Yeah.
goals?
Yeah. So I think from a physical standpoint, and you get this because you all do this all the time too, right? We really have to weigh out what's going on immune system wise, what's going on pathogen wise, and just kind of ask ourselves, how long does it really take for the body to handle these
Mm,
things?
mhm,
And that line for everybody's going to be a little bit different, and the line of comfortability for each couple is going to be a little different. You know, some people might say, I want to retest and make sure everything's gone before we try. And others,
mm.
I've had them say, like, oh, have a lot of mold in my system. Yeah, it's fine. We're going to keep trying.
Give it a go.
You know, like, and all I can do is just present the risks versus benefits. And nothing is a hard line. You know, people get
That's right.
pregnant healthily, you know, in lots of different situations. Um, so they get to decide,
Mhm,
and you know, we just kind of present the evidence. As far as a nervous system goes, um, that comes into play when we start to see little shifts, and it might not be big shifts, but it can be little shifts. As far as I saw something on social media, and I was able to scroll right past it, and it didn't bother me, or I was able
mm,
to tell this stranger who said something inappropriate, I was able to say something to them and kind of move on about it and not get in my car and bawl my eyes out. So when they're feeling like their capacity is a little bit bigger, you know, maybe they're more ready, right? But I don't even think we have to decide if they're more ready because I think their body's
mm.
going to decide for them. And pregnancy might
Yeah.
happen, right? So, huh,
Mhm.
it might happen under the surface and we don't even know.
Yeah. It is interesting how the body decides when it is ready
Mhm.
for lots of different things and when it
Mhm.
feels safe. It does remind me of, I mean, we know that this is helpful for fertility, helpful for nervous system dysregulation. You
Yeah.
mentioned autism. I think about our mold and our Lyme clients because the
Yeah.
nervous system is so impacted by those. Can you
Uh,
talk a little bit about how just like toxins, pathogens, like there's interaction going on there with the nervous
oh yeah.
system that
Yeah.
puts us in a place where we need restoration?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean because we know like right when we are living in a moldy environment or the moldy environment is just internal or the Lyme
Mhm,
spirochetes are internal, whether it's external or
mhm,
internal, uh, the body is always scanning for those things, right? Your immune system's always scanning, and when it is scanning for
mhm,
those things and it is finding those things, we're on high alert. The body knows fight, fight, fight. So then,
mhm,
you know what? It was it Richard Navio that talked about like the cell danger response from those things.
mhm,
So even after we've gone through some of these protocols where maybe the environment's clean, maybe the internal system is clean now and rebalanced, sometimes the nervous system hasn't really gotten that message because it's been in those environments for so stinking long. So it might
yeah,
be like your urine test is clean, or you know, your antibodies are really low now, but the nervous system doesn't know that. It still thinks we're
mhm.
there.
Patterns.
Whether it's because it still thinks it's there or because we've been living in that state for so long, that is just how our body has learned to respond to things in the environment. I mean,
Hmm,
I imagine you've probably had clients to where we know their house is clean now, we know they've remediated, but sometimes when they go into their kitchen or they go into their bedroom, wherever the spot was, they all of a sudden feel like, oh, I can't breathe. My heart rate is going. There must still be an
mhm,
exposure. Sometimes maybe there is. Sometimes maybe there's not. And the body just isn't getting the message that it's gone now. Um, so yeah, so sometimes, right, we have to do the like SSP or neural reprocessing, those kind of things. to even let the body detox, right? Because if the body doesn't feel safe enough, it's not going to
Mhm.
detox. So sometimes we have to front load those things. Sometimes we could do it at the back end to where it's like we've detoxed all the things, but now we need to repattern the body. So I think there's probably many ways to go about it. And some people are lucky and maybe they don't have to do it, right? Their body's
Yeah.
resilient and they don't need the reprocessing. But for most people, there seems to be at least a little bit that needs to happen there.
If you've been wanting to transform your health but don't know where to start, I've got you. My full color cookbook is much more than recipes. It's a 300-page crash course in healing through food. You'll get 125 plus gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free meals the whole family will love, plus step-by-step guides on shopping smarter, improving digestion, and making your kitchen a healing place. It's gorgeous, practical, and designed to make healthy living simple. Grab your copy at heyheymae.com/cookbook and start changing your health one delicious bite at a time. Yeah. I think personality impacts it too, because those people
Oh
who
yeah.
are great at letting go and not attached to things are like, yeah, mold's gone, we're done, it's over with. And we have
Men,
other clients who
men.
are like, yes. I mean, I didn't want to call them out, but yes, the men are like, I mean, it's gone. I wasn't really here anyways. And the women are like, are we sure it's gone? Are we sure it's there? Do I see a spot? Do I see a little bit of a haze? Like, I'm not sure. I feel like I smell something, which all that's good and fine because those
Yeah,
sometimes are tools that our body can use for us
yeah,
to protect us. But
yeah,
the safety thing, I think culturally too, women in safety. Now I come from
yeah,
a place where I've experienced non-safety in my home environment, but I think that has to inform so much of our ability
yeah,
to conceive or even just thrive
yeah,
in female bodies,
yeah, yeah,
which is a bummer, but it is reality. So,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
back to
I know.
fertility stuff. And I'm going to kind of maybe put you on the spot and hopefully you can recruit something from your brain. This podcast is all about stories
Come on,
of
brain.
clients who have healed in this pathway. So we cover all kinds of stuff, but can you think of maybe stories or examples where this emotional reprocessing somatic training really made a difference, especially when it came to like conception?
Oh, okay. Conception. I was gonna say because I have one example that
Or you can give
came
me
to
another
mind,
one.
but she's
I'll
not
take any
conception.
of them. We
Okay.
love a little hope.
Okay, deal. So, and she doesn't want to conceive again. She's had two kids. So, but
Mm,
we did SSP and we started very slowly and we weren't even very far into it. Now, full disclosure, we also work through some like chronic strep stuff. So you'll get
mm,
this piece of it. But we did SSP and we did, the homeopathy side of things. She was the type before this to stay up all night cleaning. So she would get up in the middle of the night and she would clean the kitchen. She would clean the living room, always doing projects. If she got a project in her head, she was going to get it done, right? Like she'd mentioned to her
mm.
husband, oh, I want to paint the front door. And by the time he'd get home from work, she had repainted the front door and done all these things. Always a
What a
project. She
lady.
was always, she was also, she would talk to her mom for hours every day about the
Mm,
the symptoms she was having in her body. And it was all right-sided,
mm,
which from her perspective, we know
mm,
that has to do with the mother, right? But all these
mhm,
pains that were happening for a decade that she was having, lots and lots of things going on. She couldn't take time to connect with her kids. She couldn't, go play with them and then go back and do other things. She had to finish her
mm,
list first. It was very OCD, very manic, is what she would describe
mhm,
as manic episodes. So we
mm.
did the things. She doesn't have any of that anymore. Like she can start a project
Aw,
and walk away from it and
aw,
go play with her kids and come back and maybe
yeah.
do a little bit more. She will sleep through the night. The pains are gone.
Aw.
She was the type to do, like lead the co-op and lead this and lead that. And finally she
Mm,
said, oh,
mhm.
I don't have to do that anymore. I'll let somebody else do it. And I don't care what they think about me
Mm,
by not doing it. That's freaking major to
mm.
not have to
That's like so
be
many
a
layers
person.
of major. Yeah.
Yeah, so many.
Huh.
And so I think if she was having trouble conceiving, I think that would have been
Yeah.
major for her too, right? So that could have been something. But I think that to me was just, oh wow. Yeah, you got so much of your life back that
Yeah.
it's stinking incredible. Um but on the flip side, a fertility piece, let me find somebody. There was a woman that's coming to mind that I think they've been trying to conceive for maybe a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. And she's seemingly very healthy, so we didn't have to do much internally. We just did SSP
Mm,
and some minerals, HTMA, that kind of thing. Um,
mhm.
but within a very short time of starting SSP, she was pregnant. Now, was it SSP? Was that what was going to happen anyways? I can't say, right? I can't say that that's
Sure.
fully what it was, but um,
Sure.
she definitely, and that led into pregnancy as far as like feeling confident with her body and feeling more safe and, not scanning for all the things, which is, I think, a benefit for all that do it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mental labor piece, I think we can all identify with it when it's brought to our attention, but like the lady who's cleaning at night in the projects, like think about how much you think about like just painting the door. I need to prep the door. I need to get the stuff to prep the door. Is the weather okay? Is it going to get wet? Is anybody's hands going to get on it? I need to tape it. I need to buy the paint. I need to go to the store. Like there's so much going on all the time. And even in a good and right day to day, I'm going to paint the front door. That's like such a go, go, go phase. And to be living like that all the time
Yeah.
and then have that noise hush it all the way up feels
Yeah.
like freedom, feels like so
Yeah.
much peace. And then
Yeah.
the body
It was.
follows that, which I think is kind of the core.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, she was, months out from when our package was going to end, right? Like we still had so much time to work on things, and she was already thinking,
Mm.
"What am I going to do without you? How am I going to do this?"
Mhm.
It's like, okay, hold on, we still have 5 months together.
We
Let's
are
see where we
together.
get in 5 months. But you get it from the
Yeah.
manic side of her. She was trying to plan in advance, planning for what's going to happen in 5 months. Which I'm not
Mm.
going anywhere. It's fine. We can still talk, but
Yeah.
once we got closer to the end and where she had made progress, I wouldn't hear from her for like weeks at a time. And it wasn't because things had gone wrong. It's
Mm.
because things were going so well. She didn't have to
Yeah.
think about it anymore. She didn't have to be on the phone with her mom all the time. She didn't have to message me with symptoms. Things were
She
just
didn't need
really
her
good, right? So
co-regulators because she was
it's
regulated. Yeah.
it's incredible. Like it was incredible. And I do think maybe the strep piece was a big piece of it, right? And you
Yeah.
totally understand that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
The
it
cleaning
was
part,
incredible.
that's a big
Yeah.
flaggy there. Got to clean all the time. Got to have everything be clean. Got to have it together. Got to have the order. Very strappy,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool. It's just
Yeah.
the safety piece. I think the safety, and understanding that safety is not just like that I'm physically safe, not getting hit by a car or in a fire. Like it's literally the
Yeah.
all day long safe and
Yeah.
relaxed. Like the body can't heal and do good things without
Yeah.
that state. So
Yeah.
I got a couple questions for
Yeah.
you. What do
Yeah.
you wish
Okay.
every woman knew about her emotional body before she started a fertility journey?
Oh man. Um, Gosh, this one will kind of stink, but I wish every woman fully understood the gravity of her nervous system patterning her child's nervous system for the first couple years of life.
Mm.
And kind of sucky. It's kind of sucky, right? That's the whole thing.
I was like, I'm tired now, but that's great.
It's a whole thing, right? And it's a lot of pressure, as if we needed more pressure on ourselves. But I think if we can like step back, I think it's important for people to know in advance so that they can prep for that, right? We
Mhm.
can spend the
Mhm.
time doing the healing because let's be honest, once you have your child, how much time are you going to have for personal healing? Not
Yeah,
as
for
much.
real, none.
Not as much.
Just kidding. You'll
So,
have some. You'll be different.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, and I think the
And
flip
it
side
comes
of
back
that is,
around, but
yeah. The other side is, that can feel like, oh, dang, I think about my boys' early days in our life at that
sure.
point. And also, the beauty of nervous systems is things like safe and sound and all sorts of other somatic experiencing exist and can right
Oh,
some
yeah.
of those things that maybe weren't great
Yeah.
early on and can create
Yeah.
safety over time. So, but yeah, there's a lot
Oh,
of
there's
truth to it. And
resilience.
we just get so focused on pregnancy and birth. And then we forget sometimes that we're obviously going to parent our kids, but there's a lot more that we can do to increase quality of life for everybody.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a blame or shame thing, right?
yeah, yeah. Well, I think too, and it's like our populations are different and the same, but we have so many people who are discovering that they lived in mold for years when they're pregnant in their early years. And I think about that. And then we have so many people who have left like traumatic, hard places. And
Yeah.
I mean, that's my story. So my first thought when I hear that is like, oh crap, I missed the opportunity. It has passed now for, you know,
Well,
for
okay, but can we also consider, because I think this is really important. I think it's important to consider that your responses to your past environment, even if
Mhm.
there's like this guilt feeling for your boys, your responses to that environment were appropriate, right? Like we can have appropriate responses to what we're living in that, okay, maybe that's not how we want to be, but it's an appropriate response. So
Yeah.
you weren't
Yeah.
meant to be in a calm, safety feeling when your environment was quite literally not safe, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's an
Yes.
appropriate thing, and your boys are resilient, just as kids are. So they're
Yeah. Yeah.
wonderful little human beings. So
Thank you. Yeah. There's so much truth to that too. And I think working with kids and seeing so many kids go through, I mean, scary things, but even mold, like that's like, it's just a thing. It's just a toxin and a yuck. And it bothers your nervous system so much and seeing people come out. But what's something that somebody could do today to reconnect to their body safely? What's like a simple, easy, maybe practice we could tune into now?
oh, okay. Okay. Great. This is a you're really going here. And this is such a simple one. Okay. So a thing that we can do to come back into our body. Um, mm, I don't know. Throw me a line here because I'm going scanning the environment. So like what my mind goes to here, and maybe this is the complete opposite of what you are suggesting. But I come in
Mhm.
contact with a lot of clients who are too in tune with their body, right? Like they're always scanning for
Uh-huh.
symptoms in their body, right? Which doesn't feel
Mhm.
safe, and they don't trust that their body's safe because they think their body is trying to kill them.
Mhm.
So what
Mhm.
I do in those situations is more tune out of the body for a moment, right? So we can look
Mhm.
around and name 5 things that we see in our environment. We can name 5 things that we hear, 5 things that we smell. We can touch different things, right? Like touch the desk or touch a soft blanket to kind of come out of that, to take a moment to realize like, like we don't have to be thinking that our body's out to get us all of the time. So maybe that's the complete
Mhm.
opposite of what you were
I
saying.
mean, I
So
kind of love it because we can
go in
also help our
nature.
kids do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Go in
Go in
nature. Go
nature,
look at the
see
sun. Is
things.
that like the normal response, right? Get morning
That's what I was
sunlight to
saying.
go get grounding. But there's fact and truth in them. So that's fair.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are such accessible things too, because I think a lot of time in healing, we always think like, what's the new thing I have to do? What's the program? What's the biohack? What's
That's fair.
the food I need to be eating? Which that's that same hypervigilant, which honestly, if you're listening to this podcast, you're probably thinking about how do I get my body to a better place? And to remember that there are so many simple things that create safety. And that's really kind of core to safety is returning
Yeah.
back to simplicity and
Even
calm.
like go get a massage, right? Like, and I think you would preach this
Mm,
too. If we're feeling lonely, or maybe somebody's not married, or what have you, or they're not feeling connected to their spouse, just go get a massage, because that
mhm,
touch from the massage therapist
mhm.
is very, grounding and connecting for the body too. So that can just be an excuse to, have reason, not an excuse necessarily, but go book yourself that massage, right? So it's good for your
Very
nervous system.
non-hypervigilant way to support your nervous system. It reminds me of a
Yeah.
therapist once told me after I had my boys and I was by myself and then they were little, was to go get a massage, A, because the same reason you just said, but B,
Yeah.
the whole time that you're there, imagine your skin like meeting the massage therapist because there's an
Ah,
interplay between touch, right? It being like restorative, but when you're by yourself as a parent, like, yeah, I'm with kids, I'm with them all the time, whatever. But it's different being like touched in a like a mutual way, I guess. And in some ways that was kind of a mutual sort of situation where you can, I don't know, just like take the somatics of it one step further, where your
yep.
brain is engaged with your physical body, feeling more of
Yep.
the connection. Because I am the best at going to get a massage and tuning out and being like, this is my time to generate business ideas because they will just flow. And when I get up off this table, I'm going to write them on the paper. And that is not the purpose of the massage.
No,
So
that's
that's
not
probably why I got
relaxing at all.
that I mean, my brain just works. Like if I
Yeah.
stop my body, then it goes. So I mean, I can't
Yeah.
help it. But
Yeah.
where can people learn more about your work in Safe and Sound? Can people who aren't clients, who aren't seeking healthy pregnancies, work with you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So, the website might say a lot of things about fertility, but we obviously see people for lots of different things, right? So if they just head to thenourishingtreelouisville.com, they can find tons of information about SSP, our practice, our team, all the things. I would suggest probably going there because my little naughty self has not been posting on social media.
Well, Or is it a wise self? I don't know.
Maybe, it's just feels right at the moment. So,
That's fair.
yeah,
We
I
like
think the
that.
website's
Okay.
probably best place to go.
Last question for you that I ask everybody, but I'm going to spin it your way. What's one way you or your clients have been loved well through infertility or supported through healing that made pregnancy possible?
Ooh. I think pregnancy for me was made possible. This is going to sound interesting, but walking meditations.
I
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, it was
Also a good
nice. I mean,
reminder
it helped that it was on a beach, but
well, I think it's a good reminder too that we can introduce our friends who are struggling with things to these ideas. Like I think so often people are like, I don't know what to do with my friend that has chronic illness because I don't have that and I don't really get it. Or
Mm,
infertility is like a whole nother big ball of wax that like, if you've
mm,
not experienced that, how do you support someone else? But sharing things like, did you know that there are walking meditations that exist that could
yeah,
maybe be nourishing to your like heart and mind? Could be a really helpful thing for
yeah,
somebody to share with
yeah,
their friend.
yeah, yeah,
Well, thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
yeah. I appreciate it too. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Well, hope you guys have a great week and we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening. I hope you're leaving encouraged, curious, and hopeful. If you learned something, I'd love for you to share this episode with a friend. Hey, we're all healing together. You can learn more about my practice, our team, and what it's like to work with us at heyheymay.com. I teach lots on Instagram and answer questions each Monday. My Instagram handle is at heyheyelizabethmay. You can watch these episodes and more on our YouTube channel at Hey Hey May. Learn about and enjoy our homeopathic line at heyheyhomeopathics.com. Happy healing!